I'm Charlie Roberts. I'm 84, and I used to knock around with John Lennon and Quarrymen, Paul McCartney, and then when I was in my teens, 1956 through to early 1960s until they made the big time, when I eventually lost touch with them, or at least with John and Paul.
And so you got started your book actually just starting over, which looks at your time growing up in Liverpool around this time at the birth of basically the modern music.
Yeah, that's my book. Just like starting over. I wrote that because people used to say to me, you should write a book because once you're gone, nobody will know about it. So I've put some of my experiences in here, not all of them because I'd need a bigger book than that. But it's gone down well. It sold out in New York when we launched it at the Beatles Fest. And everybody who's read it has said that they enjoyed it, and it's a really good book. It's authentic, there's no rubbish in it, it's just genuinely how it was in those days. Yeah.
So, without going too much into the book, because obviously we want to encourage people to buy it, it's just give us a hint of what was it like being at this point, because did you realise that what you were seeing was, and what you photographed was this important moment in music, or was it, as you're saying, really, just your mates playing music?
Yeah, it was just our mates playing in our street party that started it off, and I think people realised there was a bit of charisma when it came to John, but other than that, skiffle music at the time was unheard of, and that was a big thing in Liverpool. Like when they came to play, they'd never heard anything like it before, the general public. But I don't think anybody expect them to be really big, but they obviously became big in Liverpool in the next year or so, and at the Cavern, but nobody expected the worldwide fame that they achieved, which was massive, probably the biggest band ever.
And so you, let's say, knew John Lennon through, and then as was with the Quarrymen.
Yeah.
But you got the poster here, which I'll break the fourth wall slightly and hand up, which you actually printed.
Yeah, this poster was a handwritten poster for the street party, which was in June 1957. And I've had some of those reproduced, which get signed by the remaining existing Quarrymen, the original Quarrymen. And they sell quite well because they're quite sought after. You can't buy them anywhere else except Strawberry Fields. I've got another poster which is a compilation of photographs with John, and I've had his shirt coloured red, colourised, as it was in 57. He always had a red shirt and check shirt, well nearly always, and people thought he was wearing the same dirty old shirt every day, but what it was, Mimi bought him 3 or 4 of them at Garston Market. And so he was changing his shirt, but it looked like the same shirt every day, if you understand what I mean. But that's a compilation poster, which is also signed by the Quarrymen. All of my stuff signed by the Quarrymen, all the posters, not my book, just the Quarrymen.
If I can just pass you, sorry, just this one for a second now.
Right.
Because as you're saying, with this, we're saying about that poster, yeah, and that is you with that poster in that top corner.
Yeah, that's me when I was 17 outside the house I lived in Rosebery Street. And that's the poster which I've had reproduced, the one I showed before, and it's all hand signed by the Quarrymen. That's the street party. That's the street party, and that photo and that photo are both taken by Rod Davis's dad in July 1957 at the Woolton Fete, and that's the day that John met Paul at the church hall. First time John met Paul. And I was there on that day, but like all of us, nobody knew what was said because at the time Paul was nobody. He just came into the hall amongst all the other people that were there, and we didn't take any notice of him really because he was nobody. Obviously, a couple of weeks later, he joined up with John, and he then became an improved band.
So obviously, with this, I mean, the Quarrymen, even after John Lennon went on for years, but they sort of got tied into that history of still being, people think of the Quarrymen, they still look back to that period of John Lennon. And these pictures are sort of giving a fairly unique insight into the early days of them as a band, but also probably one of the most, if not the most identifiable figure of the 20th century.
Yeah.
Just sort of with that, I mean, how long was it before you realised that what you'd actually photographed?
Oh, it's once they made the big time. And we also had another roll of film, a full roll of film, which were lost by the chemist. In those days, you took your rolls of film to be developed and printed to the chemist. And when Sandra went down a while later, because we didn't have much money in those days and it was expensive getting a roll produced and printed. When she went back to the chemist a few weeks later, he'd lost them all. So there's only 3 surviving photographs of that day, which were the first ever of John playing live. But getting back to what we thought about them, they obviously had something, but we thought in the beginning, well, they're just getting in on the skiffle craze, but they're obviously better than that, especially when Paul came along. They improved greatly. Paul was quite talented, as everybody knows.
And with the photographs you've got, obviously they've taken on a sort of renewed interest in recent years.
Yeah, well, the Quarrymen sort of faded out the limelight until about, I think it was 1999, when they got back together again. So there was a big gap in between the early performances and then they got back together again. And they're quite popular even now. If they appear at, say, Strawberry Fields or any venue, they usually sell out. Yeah, and we're hoping to get them over here in the summer in the Isle of Man. There's only two of them remaining now that are playing. Len Gary can't. He's had mobility problems, so he can't travel anymore. So it'll only be 2 of the Quarrymen and a couple of other band players.
Are you surprised? I mean, you were saying earlier about you've spoken to like people in Australia. You've done Zoom calls with news companies there. So are you surprised still at the global interest in what was basically for want of a better word, it was a carnival party on a Liverpool street a lifetime ago?
Well, in some ways I am, but because it was the original, the very first sort of event that they ever played in, apart from a couple of things like there was a show on TV called, I think it was Carol Levitt's Discoveries. They did an audition for that, which they failed, and another show somewhere they did, like another failure, I think. But that was the first known performance of them live, and any Beatles fans, even people who hadn't heard of the Quarrymen, they've heard the Beatles, they then want to go back into the history because they just enjoy doing that. And they want to know the roots of where John lived, where Paul lived. I mean, if you live in Woolton, you'll see them all day, right throughout the year, coaches, taxis, going around visiting Mendips, down to Paul and George Harrison's house, stuff like that. And they just love it.
And just in terms of what's coming up soon, so you're selling prints and books coming up pretty soon. Is it March?
Oh yeah, I've got a pop-up the 24th of Saturday, the 24th of February. I'll be selling all of this type of stuff and signing books, and I'll talk to anybody who's interested, like a Q&A if people want to ask me anything, I can give them the answer, will do.
And just finally, where's that on?
The 24th of February, Saturday, at the at LS in Kirk Michael, LS Boutique in Kirk Michael.
Brilliant. Well, thanks for your time, and thank you for behaving yourself to the bird. He's been really well behaved, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Well, like I say, thanks for your time, and thanks for showing us what are quite simply the pictures documenting the birth of modern music.
We met in the cabin all those years ago.
You met in the cabin as well?
Yeah.
We both met in the cabin.
Oh, wow.
So we've been married 60 odd years now, 63 years.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So.
Long time.
Yeah.
But there's not many of us left that knew John and Paul in our teens, everybody's fallen off the perch one by one. One of the Quarrymen, Chaz Newby, died recently. Chaz was great, nice fella.
He was a lovely man.
He was bass guitarist, and it was strange. He became a Beatle before he became a Quarryman. Years ago, can't remember the date, but he filled in for 3 or 4 gigs with the Beatles, and then after that he didn't do anything until he joined the Quarrymen a few years ago. So he was the other way around. Everybody was a Beatle before a Quarryman before the Beatles, but he was a Beatle first. Yeah.
See, even just stuff like that, it's just, you know, I'm sure you could go on for just these little bits of information, which is just sort of like absolutely astounding.
Yeah, it's only when I'm talking to people like yourself or the lads in the pub or something, things come back to you. You know, things you'd forgotten about long ago, but it sort of regenerates everything when you start talking about it.
But when they all get together, like the Quarryman and Charles, I love to hear them all talking because they bring everything in, and it brings Charles's memory back as well. You know, he remembers all things as well, so it's good.
Mm-hmm. It's going now though. Memories going slowly but surely. But some things are strange. I can remember as if it happened yesterday. But other stuff we've got to think hard to find out what's going on. That's why when all these people say, "Oh yeah, we remember what John said to Paul when they met," they're also in lies, because nobody took any notice, nobody at all. And there's not much going on. He just comes in on a bike, has a few words with John, and goes off again. There's a few kids with bikes came in, into the church hall, just nosing around because they'd seen the Quarrymen in the afternoon on the field at the church fete. But they've had I think it's 3 of them now. They've done reproductions of the Woolson fete each summer, to commemorate every 10 years or 20 years or whatever. And they've all been the same. The sun's been shining beautiful, and everything seemed like nothing different from the first day. Yeah, the Quarrymen going around on the back of a lorry, just the same. It was sort of recreated. And it's been marvellous, but I think that's come to an end now because, as I say, we're all getting too old.
Well, like I say, and thanks for your time, and we'll put the details up for anyone who wants to come along and buy copies, read the book, and basically, just talk through all this amazing history.